Hi, this is Russell Sunner from teachertrainingvideos.com. I'm afraid I'm not in my familiar studio at the moment. I'm working abroad and I've rented an apartment. Today I'm going to do a set of videos about Quizizz. Now Quizizz is great if you want to create a bit more interaction in your live online sessions or in the class. Students can use their mobiles or their computers and you can set up quiz games with them where they can answer on their mobiles, and it's great for formative assessment but also great as a fun activity at the end of the lesson or as a warmer. So if you're looking for perhaps an alternative to working with Kahoot or working with Socrative, and there are some different functions available on Quizizz, then you're really going to like this tool, particularly if you're teaching online and you're looking for something to liven up your lessons or you're looking for formative assessment. As always, if you like the video, please like it, please share it, please comment on it. Don't forget to come over to teachertrainingvideos.com if you want more free videos and sign up to my newsletter. Let's get into the video now. So Quizizz is very similar to tools like Socrative and Kahoot. It allows you to create kind of quiz activities that your students can either answer on their telephones or on their iPads or even on a computer. So it's ideal for using, for example, if you're teaching online, but also great in the classroom because the students can answer the questions via their telephones and they can either work individually or in groups. And as always, I think the best way to start is by showing you an example. So I've been building up a few activities now, and I've got a few here that I've created, and I'm going to work with this one here because it's just got 4 questions in it. And I'm just going to show you what a quiz looks like, how it would work, and then I'll show you how to build one, and then I'll go through some of the trickier settings that you might not be aware of. So I've got a simple example here. I'm going to click on it. So we're going to use this one here, a visit to London, and we're going to choose a live quiz. So we're going to do this as if the students were either in the classroom with me or also perhaps working through Zoom or Microsoft Teams. So I click on Start Live Quiz, and we've got 2 views. And today the one I'm going to do is the instructor pace one. So I'm going to click on this one here. And there are a couple of settings, and 1 or 2 that I would definitely suggest that you think about using. The first one is it's quite nice to have the leaderboard at the end of each question so that the students and you can see who's winning. I'm not going to shuffle the questions in this one. The music's quite good, so you might want to leave the music on. It's not too irritating, but of course you can turn it off. I'm going to let my students log in with a name. I'm going to click on continue, and it's that easy to start a game. Now, all the students need to do is to go to joinmyquiz.com and then put that code in. So what I'm going to do to help us is now I'm going to now log in on another browser as a student so that you'll be able to look at both the teacher view and the student view. So let's say you're doing it from a computer. Easiest thing to do is just to write join quiz, but with double Z. Okay, right, join quiz. Just search for that in Google, and if you search for that, then this page or this link will come up on the first page, and all you do is add the code in. So the students would simply add the code once they've come to the page, and then they can start the game. So let's quickly remember what the code was. So the code that the students need to add in is 854967. So if we jump back again and come back to that page to logging in as a student, so we just write that code in here. So I write that code in, I click on join, and I will come straight into the quiz. The first thing that you need to do is to add your name. So I'm just going to click on add name, and then that is it. That's all the students need to do. They put in the code and they add their name, and bang, the game will start. Now what will happen is that it says waiting for players to join. So we'll have to wait now and see as players begin to join the game. Now we're back in the game, and we can see that there are now 2 people that have joined the game. We can delete anyone out of the game if we need to do that, and it's always a useful thing. But now I'm going to start the game because I know everyone is in the activity. So I click on start, and it's going to tell me that the first question is coming onto the screen. Okay, and obviously I'm waiting now for the students to give their answers. Let's see what the students can see. So this is what the student sees. He sees the question on the screen and he's got to click on the correct answer. So I'm going to click on this one. And as soon as the student clicks, then it's going to give them some kind of feedback. And once the activities, or once everyone else has put in their answers, it's given the feedback. So this student got that answer correct. If we jump back to the teacher's view, once the students have done an activity, at the end, it kind of summarizes who got the question right and who answered the question, and then we can click on the next button and move on to the next question. Okay, so the teachers are seeing something different from what the students are seeing, and if we quickly jump back to the student's view, we can see that in the student's view, the student always sees the questions, whereas the teacher really just sees a summary of the answers. Notice also that there's a time limit on the game. So for each question in this particular game, I set a limit of 30 seconds. Okay. So jumping back again to the teacher view, we can see now that who's answered that question. We've got something called the leaderboard that kind of gives us information as well at the end of each question on who answered and who got the questions wrong. And then it flashes up this quick graph, and then we click again on next question. So this is what we call a teacher controlled game. Now the advantage of this particular mode of working is that you don't need to screen share anything for the students to play this game. The students can clearly see that the questions that they need to ask. So here we're back in the student's view, and we can clearly see that the student can just see the question and then choose the answer though. So it's different to Kahoot in that way, because in Kahoot we need to screen share the answers. Let's quickly jump back to the teacher view, and interestingly you'll notice that it does show you this leaderboard, and it shows you who's winning. So Russell's got 1,330 and Tom's got 1,300. Then it flashes up this screen, and then we click on the next button. Okay, and we've come to the end of the quiz. It only had 4 questions in it. So every time the students complete a question, a leaderboard flashes up for about 3 seconds, and then we get this summary diagram that you can see on the screen now, and then the ability to click on the next question. So very nice interface, easy to use. I like the pace of the game. This one was an activity that was teacher controlled, so I was the one that clicked on the next button. We can do exactly the same game, but doing it student pace. So the students simply do their question, then they do another question, then they do another question, and they come to the end of the quiz. I was showing you what we call the teacher paced mode. One of the things I particularly like about working with Quizizz is this detail that it gives you at the end. So it gives you a breakdown of what answers the students got completely wrong, which ones they got 100% on, and in this case these two where they only got 50% correct. So it can really give you some information about what perhaps you need to revise and work on again. So obviously we don't need to focus on this question, but we do perhaps need to focus on these 3 questions where, in fact, this one here, all of the students got it wrong. And we've even got a breakdown by question if we want, and we can actually go through and see what was, how many people got a question correct, etc. So that is also really useful. And in fact, there's even a little bit more information that we'll look at a bit later. So you've seen a little bit now of just a basic quiz, and I will come back and show you some more. But let's now look at how you actually create one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a really simple quiz. So I'm going to click on create, okay, and then I'm going to use this one, create a quiz. We're not going to look at lessons, we're going to look at the quizzes button. So we click on here and it opens up and then we're just going to call this quiz about London. So I'm going to show you more or less what I just did a moment ago, and then I'm going to call this number 2 because I've already done one quiz on London. I'm going to click on the area. We're going to use it for English and maybe for social studies as well, and then we're going to click on next. And we've got a few things here to keep in mind. Okay, first of all, when we do quiz questions, we've actually got a variety of different quiz types that we can use. Now I'm going to focus today on the multiple choice because that was the one that I did. So let's start by kind of doing the questions, and then we'll just look at a few settings that are really important. So I'm going to click here on multiple choice. So I click on that and I simply write my first question in here and I write my answers in here. Now to save time, I'm just going to click on the button and do that for you. So my first question is, what is Big Ben? And the actual answer is it's a bell. It's not the tower, it's actually the bell. Now, what I can do that's really nice is if I click here, I can actually add an image. And if I've just got the URL of an image, I can just paste that in and then it will use that image when it generates the question. Now I'm going to show you a lovely trick here. So if I click, for example, on this image, and then I right click over the image, and all I need to click on is save. What we want here is copy image link, okay, or save image link, or limit. Sometimes it can be called link address. You just want the actual link to that image, okay. And if we come back now to the quiz, we can just add in that there, just paste it in, okay. And that will actually mean that that image will now appear in the question. When I click on done, you'll see now that there will actually be an image here at the top along with the question, okay? So if I save that, you can see it here in the example, okay? So that's what it's going to look like. And I'm going to click on save now. So we've done the first image. Make sure, of course, that you click to decide on the correct answer. And the other thing is the time. Now I'm going to always give the first question about 30 seconds, but then after a few questions you might want to make it a little bit faster. So once we've done our first question, click on save, and you can start adding another question now. And to do that, you just simply click up here again. So let's just go through the process a few times. So again, click on new question. Now I'm going to keep it simple. So I'm going to keep it consistent. So I'm going to use multiple choice all the time. We can use checkboxes, fill in the gaps, polls, but I'm just going to click on this one. Again, I won't waste time. I'm going to just ask a second question here, write the 4 answers in, and then choose the correct answer. Now, it is possible to even use pictures for the answers. That's quite time consuming to do, but I am going to do it for this example. So I'll be linking to pictures for each answer here, okay? So you can see I've written in the question, which picture is Westminster Bridge? So the students have got to click on the correct picture. And I've done the first 3, so I've put in 3 pictures. And I'm just going to show you how I would add the last one. So you don't need to write anything in, you just simply click on image. And all you do is paste in, again, the link to an image. Now I'm going to show you again how you do that. So to grab an image, all I need to do is click on an image. Wait until it comes up here on the right hand side of the screen, right click, and then what you're looking for is copy image link or copy image address. All right, click on that. Let's jump back to the question. There we are, and we just paste that link in. And now we've got a nice quiz question that's actually got 4 images in it. So that looks really nice, but it does take a little while. So I tend to use the images at the top of the screen because of course that means you only need to add 1 more image. I'll make this one 30 seconds. I'm happy with that. I've got to say which is the correct answer, which is this one here. The second one is a picture of Westminster Bridge. And then I'm going to click on save, and I'm just going to add 1 more question. So we've got 2 questions now, okay? And we're just going to add 1 final question. So I'm going to click on new question. Again, I'll do multiple choice. And again, I'm going to stop the video while I fill in all the information. So we've got the question here, what statue is this? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a picture. So I'm going to click on image. And again, all I need to do is paste. I've already copied the link, so I'm just going to click that as the statue of Richard I. And again, we've just added that in. Click on done. So now we've got a picture there at the top, and then the students have to click on the correct answer. So I'm going to click on save. Okay, so I've got to remember to tell the system what the correct answer is. So it's Richard I. Okay, so that was a mistake there. Click on save. And we've now got a total of 3 questions. Now, there's a couple of things that we can do to improve the to improve the quiz, and that is we can come over to here, and there are a couple of settings that can be quite useful. We can add grades. We can add at least 4 questions. So at the moment, this quiz has only got 3 questions, and they recommend 4 questions as a minimum. And I think, in fact, even to be honest with you, 4 questions is very few. So I'm going to quickly add another question in a minute. But just before I do, just want to point out a couple of things. You may like to have an image at the top of your quiz. That's just like a header, and the students will see that when the quiz is uploaded at the beginning. And if you want to do that, you can just click here, and you can do it in exactly the same way. You can just paste a link to something. So I've got loads of images of London here. I'll use this one. So I click on that, right click, copy image link. I'm going to jump back to the where we're creating the questions. I'm just going to paste in that link. Okay, so we've now got a nice picture at the top, which is kind of the opening. I can decide what level this is going to be for, so I'm going to say that this one is for kind of from 10th to 12th grade. Obviously, that just depends entirely on what you're producing, and then I'll click on save, and it will update that. Now, as you said, it's not happy, or as I mentioned before, it's not happy because I didn't actually do a minimum of 4 questions, so I'm going to quickly add a further question. Okay, so I quickly added a 4th question. We've now got 4 questions. Everyone's happy. I've got all my things here. It's giving me a rating of 10, which is quite handy. And I can click on done, and we're finished. And now we've got a new quiz. And if we go to our library, we'll see that that quiz is available. There it is, quiz 2. I'm going to click on it. And now I've got various ways of playing with that quiz. And I'm going to now go through that quiz. Now we've actually got quite a few options when we play these games, and I just want to go through a couple of them. For example, we can click on assign for homework, and we can set when we want this done by, so we can leave that as a default. Okay, and then we can assign the game. Now we don't have to assign to a class. We can click on this assign button here, and what this allows us to do is 2 things. The students can log in by simply going to join.myquiz.com and writing in that code and then doing that activity. Okay, or you have a share link that you can give to the students, and you can share that link with them, and they can also join the activity that way as well. So that would be one possibility. Okay, that's if you want to do the activity for not as a homework activity, but rather as a not as a live activity, but rather as a homework activity that the students do at home. And notice that it will also update and give you all information as the students complete the activity. You will be informed of their scores, etc. So if the students do the activity for homework, all they do is paste in that link, or as I said, they can go in on their telephone, so you can share the link with them. They just click on it and they can just start the activity. Okay, and they just click on this button here, and off it goes. The questions come up on the screen and the students answer them, but of course they do that in their own time. So you've got that option here, so that would be the answer to that would be there. You get immediate score. Okay, then we can go to the next one. This is just an automatic feedback thing that comes up on the screen. Next question comes up. What is Big Ben? It's a bell. So click on there, again correct. Little bit of feedback, fun feedback there, and just answering these questions really quickly just to show you how it works. So this is when the students will be doing the activity at home at their own pace. Okay, and let's get one wrong. Okay, so in fact the correct answer was that, and so it gets a final score. So that's one way, but let's now look at doing it live again. Okay, remember we can either set this for homework or do it live in a class or in a Zoom session. Now, interestingly, if we come back then as the teacher and look, let's say a day later, and we can see, oh, right, Tom's done it. Good, Tom's already done the homework, and I can see his score as well, 80%, 75% accuracy, etc. So obviously, as more students do the activity for homework, then that information would all come up on the screen, and you actually have a few other options here. You can download a report, etc. There's obviously more to look into in terms of quizzes, but I'm trying to give you a good idea of how it all works. Let's end that assignment for homework, all right? So we're ending it now, so no one else can do it. We're closing that assignment. And we're going to come back again, go to our library. We're going to come back to our quizzes at London. We're going to do a live one, but this time we're going to do classic. We're not a couple of things that I need to explain to you when you use the classic mode. So I'm going to click on classic mode now. And the first thing is you want to choose this one here in the middle, but there are a couple of really important things that you need to be aware of. I made a couple of mistakes when I first started using this tool when I was using it in classic mode. And the first mistake I made is that I thought, well, I don't want my students to be able to keep doing the exercise again, and again. But actually, you can only limit them if you get them to sign in. So the best thing is to actually leave that as unlimited. And then show answers during activity, I would turn off. Show out answers at the end of the activity, I would turn on. Okay. and then come to the bottom here. These settings, as you'll notice, you can't actually control these anyway, so you don't need to worry about that. And then click on continue. So now this activity is student controlled, and what that means is that the student will just log in and just work through the exercise. So as opposed to previously where the teacher was clicking on the button to say, right, next question, next question, next question. When we start this activity now, students will log in and they will just play the game. So what I'm going to do is going to show you that now. I'm going to click on start and I'm going to log in as a student. Now I've just clicked on start. Of course, no one's logged in, so I've got to log in first before we can start the game. But let's at least log one student in, and I'm going to show you what the student's view is and how the game is played. You'll notice that the student can just immediately go through all of the questions. They don't have to wait for the teacher to set up the next question. Okay, but we're back in the student view now. We're going to write in that number, which is 46287 That is to join this quiz. Okay, remember, you always have to put your name in, so I use the name Tom again. I click on start. Now, the actual game, we do have to wait until the teacher starts the game, but as soon as the teacher starts the game, Tom will be able to work through all of the questions without waiting for the teacher to move on to the next question. So I'm back in teacher view. I can see that Tom's logged in. Let's imagine there aren't any more students. I click on start and this comes up onto the screen. Okay, for me as the teacher. So I can be tracking the students as they do the quiz, okay? And it'll have everyone's name here and I'll be able to see what questions they're doing. As far as Tom's concerned, if we log over to Tom can see the quiz starting and off he goes and he can just work through it. And the first question comes up, which picture is Westminster Bridge? And I'm going to say this one, okay? And then the next question comes up. See, I don't have to wait for the teacher this time. I'm just working through the questions on my own, okay? So I'm just working through the questions. Notice as well that there's no feedback. I leave the feedback until the end. Okay, and at the end of the quiz is ended, I get my feedback. I got one, so it just tells me there, 2 correct, 2 incorrect. Okay, so I get immediate feedback. Now let's just quickly jump back to the teacher. And this is something I really like. The teacher gets an immediate summary of what Tom's doing. And of course, if you had more students, then they would all be there. Once we finish the game, click on the exit button. So we've almost looked now at every single option in terms of the way that you can use this. And again, I want to repeat, use it for homework, use it in a live session using Zoom or using Google Meet or Microsoft Teams, or use it in the classroom, which is how I actually discovered this game because a teacher of mine used it in my Polish lesson the other day. Okay, really hope that was useful. Please come over to teachertrainingvideos.com. Sign up to the newsletter. That way you keep up with all the latest videos, with all the latest blogs and webinars and the online courses I run. A great section for you to look at would be the mobile section if you want to learn about other tools similar to Quizizz like Socrative and Kahoot. And if you want to follow me on my YouTube channel, we'll just click up here. I think there's around 50,000 subscribers now, so it's pretty busy. And finally, if you do want to contact me about doing online training with your organization, then you can contact me from the website. And thank you very much.